Okay guys, moving on now to animal news. Researchers have found that in order to avoid unwanted male attention, some frogs appear to fake their own death. The research was released in Ugh, No, Not Tonight magazine. I hear it's a real page turner. Now, I've heard of starfishing, but playing dead? Not a good look when the women in your life would rather pretend to be dead than put up with your behaviour. Researchers say this is a response, often from smaller females, who are responding to the overtly aggressive male scramble for mates, where male frogs often try to leapfrog over each other to have sex, what we are colloquially calling going off like a frog with a cock. In these situations, several males can end up clinging to a female, what we in the human world would call the last people to leave the club syndrome. Too many males will try to mate with the same female at the same time, causing the female to take a more drastic response. She would have spoken up sooner, but through the scramble she ended up with a bit of a frog in her throat. And I totally get it. We've all had a partner who wasn't very good in bed. Enthusiastic, sure, but doing anything that was good for anyone involved? Certainly not. This is often the young male who feels needless pressure to be instantly good at sex despite either having never done it before or only done it poorly and had nobody speak up to help them. They assume because they've been wanking for so long that they have a mastery of this very similar skill. But the truth is this. Have you ever told somebody that they have something in their teeth? It's a whole thing, right? It derails entire conversations. The other person can focus on nothing else but this new piece of information. It's potentially socially devastating if not handled with just the right amount of social grace and poise. Hot tip for trying to get out of a conversation that you aren't enjoying. You tell the other person that they have something in their teeth. The longer that you've been talking, the more devastating it will be to their social standing. They will panic, and if you are lucky, they will run to a bathroom and fix the situation by giving you ample time to find a new conversation to join or just find a window to leap out of. And this is just a conversation. Imagine needing to gather the courage mid-coitus to tell the other person that they're doing a really poor job. For both of you are great, but that is a proper coitus interruptus. It's a total surprise. There's almost no coming back from it unless it is handled with extreme care, much like a penis. And that is why this story is riveting. It boils down to the basis of survival instincts. As a woman, the odds of a person you are fucking being the one who will eventually kill you are staggeringly and depressingly high. Apparently even higher for frogs. The scientists say that these male frogs are displaying needlessly aggressive behaviour, which they are. They also assume that the wriggles and vocalizations of the females are going unheard. However, I propose a darker solution. The fragile males heard that they were doing a bad job, and they got angry, taking the situation into their own webbed hands. So of course it's just easier for a woman to pretend that she croaked. That kind of male will suppress the trauma and walk off thinking that he is such a stud that he once fucked a girl so good she literally died. He's going to be devastated if he ever realizes that she was faking it all along. Fortunately, they don't actually pay enough attention to the women to realize that they're the same frog. So it's win-win for everybody. In other animal news, birds in North America will be renamed to avoid any harmful historical associations with people. The American Ornithological Society announced North American birds will no longer be named after people, any people, looking to rename around 80 species found in the US and Canada next year. KFC immediately panicked after remembering that they whitewashed the fact that they got their recipe from a black woman and gave her no credit. but pumped the brakes after realizing it was only living birds that people cared about. Once they were cooked up, nobody cared what old races they were named after. Phew! Some of the birds will be renamed, including those currently called Wilson's Warbler and Wilson's Snipe, both named after 19th century naturalist Alexander Wilson. There's Albodden's Shearwater, a seabird named for John James Albodden, whose family owned slaves. That old story again. Boy meets bird, boy names bird, boy goes on to have deeply problematic life involving the owning of slaves, or maybe some racist ideas that were at the time normal, but have far from aged well, and people are rightly feeling icky about you getting to have a nice little legacy that isn't about your deep-seated issues. Boy dies, society changes bird's name, bird has no say in the matter at all whatsoever. A classic tale as old as time. Human history is so replete with this kind of milkshake duckery that we have to stop naming things after ourselves. Anythings. Ever. Because we have proven time and again that we shouldn't be allowed to have nice things. We initially named planets after gods, but that has proven to be a problem. Early contender Uranus, the god of the heavens and sky, and giggling at double entendres, leading the pack. But all of the planets have their problems. Neptune, the god of the sea, and terrible father who tried to lock up his daughter so that she'd never fall in love with Prince Eric, and of course, the worst of them all, Jupiter, who is just celebrity god and serial sex pest Zeus in a classic disguise. Be it a swan, golden rain so that he can sneak into a princess's bedroom, doing straight up identity theft by transforming into the goddess Artemis to have sex with one of her followers, or as a gas giant. We really messed up by naming the mightiest of the planets after him. After that, frankly, we've lost the galactic naming rights to anything new. Modern astronomers have really nailed it by naming planets a series of unrememberable letters and numbers that more resemble a secure password on a computer than any planet that I'd want to live on. So maybe we just need to start over, renaming all of the animals with a series of letters and numbers. The number 1 has never proven to be a sex pest or a racist. No. He more just keeps to himself. After the announcement, however, Milkshake Duck himself, yes, the Milkshake Duck, held a press conference saying that he was sick of being a yardstick for these problematic figures and wanted to be renamed. Because you don't understand the nuances of duck society, and that those ducks with green heads deserve to be ostracized for the way that they look. And maybe you'd understand if you frantically kicked under the water while appearing calm on the surface for a mile in my flippers. That'd be a nautical mile, I assume. No, I don't know the difference, and I won't look it up. You do some research for once, eh? Emily Williams, an ornithological and Georgetown University, said heated discussions over bird names have been happening within bird-watching communities for the past several years. Upon hearing that there was even the mildest of chances of controversy, which could be then dragged out for an entire miniseries, Netflix put an immediate bid in to turn this whole thing into a documentary, with the rights to highlight a single character in a miniseries that will be popular for a summer and then spawn a cacophony of unnecessary spin-offs that nobody will watch. This started in 2020 after the infamous incident where a black bird watcher had the police called on him for simply asking a white woman to follow the law by putting her dog on a leash. The Ornithological Society started renaming birds when a group called Bird Names for Birds sent a petition to the society urging it to outline a plan to change harmful common names of birds, suggesting birds be named for their characteristics, resulting in a bird named for the Confederate Army General John P. McCowan being given the comically phallic name the thick-billed longspur. Oh yeah! A different kind of problem, to be sure, one that is easier to explain to future generations. As long as we avoid the nearly inevitable Birdie McBird face, references, then I think that we can handle this transitional period with a little bit of grace. There is, however, one voice that has yet to be consulted on the matter. Birds. So we here at the Bearer of Weird News rounded up some local birds with an impromptu town hall to get their 2 chirps on the matter. When asked on the matter, birds were heard to say, "The move doesn't go far enough. The problematic association isn't with the racists, it's with the human race." And then there is just the collection of silly names that they've had to endure, and I promise you I am not making any of these up. So we've got the Dick Sissel, the fluffy-backed tit babbler, the monotonous lark, the perplexing scrub wren, spangled drongo, the sad flycatcher, and of course, the grey go-away bird. All ridiculous names. How does one gather respect with names like those? If those are the names that are going to be given by humans, then frankly, they want to distance themselves from humans altogether. And birds are thrilled to no longer be connected to this celebrity species and destroyer of their natural habitats, humanity. They don't even want the species names that we've been giving them and would rather be referred to by their own chosen names. So here is a small sampling of names that the birds would rather be known by in future. Now, these were all translated from chirps, so bear in mind they do sound better in their native chirp. So cassowaries, who are named from 2 Papuan words, kasu meaning horned and wari meaning head, so horned head, a rather rude and some would say body-shaming name, would actually rather be named Thunder the Wise and Gentle. Hummingbirds wish to be known as the Nimble Pixie. The peacock doesn't want much of a change, actually. Its life is pretty easy. It just wants to be known as Monstrocock. Because in Monstrocock society, size really does matter. Rainbow lorikeets are furious. They don't even have all of the colours of a rainbow on them. No. They wish to be referred to as Zargut, the Destroyer of Worlds. Strong choice. Penguins want to be known as Fish Lords, as they have mastered the seas, and boobies, who have been saddled with the quite childish name, want to be taken seriously and refuse to be called anything but the more scientific Big Beautiful Memories. Galahs have had enough of being used as an example of foolishness in Australian culture, demanding to be taken seriously. They'll be known as Warlord Steve. Magpies love the local colloquial name that they've been given, but wish for it to be taken on a bit more wide-ranging. For those who aren't sure, the local colloquial name is the Swooping Cunt of Death. So no change needed, but a bit more of a worldwide adoption of the colloquialism, as I said. And finally, just a quick update on our ongoing stories. Colombia is going to war with Pablo Escobar's hippos. Long-term listeners would remember the now 160 strong population of hippos who bred from the hippos imported by Pablo Escobar and have found Colombia a delightful place to live. And what's not to like? No natural predators, a bite that can break a man in half, unlimited access to former Escobar estate, and all the grass and crops that they can eat. The Colombian Environment Minister, Susana Mohammed, has announced plans to control the hippo population through measures including surgical sterilization, possible euthanasia, and just sending them to other countries. Can I suggest that you drop them in the swamps of Florida? 160 hippos would keep the governor too busy to worry about made-up problems like the culture war, and maybe things will improve in the state. Just a thought, just a suggestion. But guys, it's finally happening. The unnecessary Netflix sequel that we never knew that we wanted. Narcos Hippos. This is my long-term brainchild, and I am pumped to see where this goes so that I can pitch the first script. We can watch the ragtag bunch of underdog hippos become the Colombian marshland's most fierce and powerful gang, only to then get in a gangland-style turf war with the Colombian Parks and Rec team over a turf needed to control the manufacture and sale of cocaine plants. See, it's all coming together, guys. It'd be like a more interesting version of the emu war. Sure, emus were stronger than those 1920s machine guns, but these are hippos. A lot of modern guns won't get the job done either, and you can't drone the shit out of the place. You need that land for growing crops.